Welcome to the Wokest Warren, where we have the Wokest Discourse. I want to talk tonight, do a little thinking out loud about an idea that I had for my neighborhood at Niles. Now, my daughter moved to Minneapolis, which is it's like a crazy time to be like in Minneapolis. But anyway, when she first got there, the first weekend that she was there, in her neighborhood, she found this like food distribution because they live in the city. So what they do is in their neighborhood, they on Sunday, like the third Sunday of the month or whatever, they have a food distribution where like some people come together and they have like a big potluck. And it's a way for everybody in the neighborhood to get to know everybody in the neighborhood, but also to serve as community infrastructure, right? So like when Minneapolis had riots during George Floyd summer, police riots, you know, maybe people didn't want to go outside. People didn't want to have to like travel to the store, stuff like that. And I know my experience with this is the tornado. When I was a kid, I was in a tornado. We were visiting my dad's friend on St. John Avenue, where the tornado went through, and we were like just grilling outside, and it started raining. It had been raining off and on all day, but it started raining, and then we sat down to eat, and the tornado came ripping through. And I remember North Road had like National Guard on it. And, you know, there was like an issue with like some lady was a diabetic and she needed her insulin. And the National Guard was like, no, nobody's getting through. And like she had to like prove that she was diabetic. Because like in a natural disaster like that, like, you know, people have to come together very quickly. And my idea is if you get everybody in the neighborhood organized before the disaster, then if there's like, I mean, because I just saw what happened up in Cleveland with the transformers blowing up. Did you hear about this? Like, I don't know the full story, so I'm not going to be the one to tell you the story. But like, basically they had a large scale electrical power outage. And I don't know like if or when they're getting their power back on, but I know in the wintertime when power goes out, like shit gets really serious. So, now like most places, you know, we used to have this when I was growing up. When I was growing up in McDonald, we knew every single family on the block. Every single family. It helped that everybody had kids because even, you know, like the one or two families that didn't have kids, the kids were constantly playing in the yard or whatever. So the kids knew the other kids and the parents got to know each other that way. But the culture is a lot different now in the 21st century than it was back then. Like, we went through COVID, you know what I'm saying? And people buy and sell their houses. People don't necessarily want to be up in their neighbor's shit. So that's one of the benefits I'm thinking of this type of organization, is that it is a way to associate with neighbors, but not gossip. Because that's the only way I find anything out now is gossip. you know, like you see somebody from the neighborhood and they want to tell you all the gossip about like who's child support or whatever. And it's like, no, like that's toxic. That doesn't build us up. That tears us down. So what I want to do is I'm going to start a block group, and I'm going to pick a Sunday and announce it like in advance, a couple months in advance, so people can put it on their calendar. And it's just going to be like neighborhood potluck. Bring a covered dish, and like we'll just hang out, you know, we'll get a group chat going, and we can talk about skills, like skills that each of us have. Like, if, for example, if someone on the street is a paramedic, that's good to know. In a situation where the power is out for 3 or 4 days, right? Wouldn't you like to know if the guy who lived across the street from you was a paramedic? It's a way that, and you know, I don't want to say a Skillshare. I want to say a Skillshare, but it's like, I don't want people to think that they have to like volunteer to be part of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a thing, and we can have regular uses for the organization. Like, we can promote each other's garage sales. If something happens, like with the city, like say our water line broke or something, we could make sure to have like the whole neighborhood putting pressure on the city to get the water turned back on. In Niles, that's not really too much of a problem, but you never know. Like, you got to be prepared. And yeah, like a neighborhood preparedness organization. I think it would be a good idea for everybody to do this. Now, I know like where my mom lives, they're in an HOA. So they already have an organization. That type of situation is good, because if you have HOA meetings, then you automatically have something to tie it into. So for those of us who we're not in a tenants union, you know, we're not in an HOA, like we need to build voluntary organizations where we're in direct contact with our neighbors, because we know we're going to war with Venezuela. Supposedly Trump wants to go to war with Greenland, and the generals are telling him no. So if we go to war with Greenland, now we're at war with Europe because NATO, like, you know, we could end up in a situation where there, you know, I know back in like the 20th century, my grandmother told us all the time about how they used to have ration coupons, and like each household would get like a ration book, and you were allowed to use it for like so much to buy butter and like to buy gasoline, you know. During wartime and times where there's rationing, it's good to have a neighborhood organization, because then like you can use it like a black market. And you know what I'm saying? Like not a black market, a gray market. Like they did, when I watch movies about World War II in England, they would have these organizations and people would grow vegetables in their garden and then use the group to distribute the vegetables. So like one person had all tomatoes, one person had all hot peppers. You know, it's just something that is good. And I think it's good to make some rules about politics, like right from the beginning. Not rules about politics, but like, hey, you know, like I can say, hey, like in my household, we have half the household hates Trump and half the household loves Trump. So this is not a like Trump thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're going to work together regardless of, you know, who we're going to vote for. Because some of us don't even vote. But either way, like, if there's going to be rationing, if there is a tornado that comes through, it's going to affect all of us. So we all may as well organize ourselves. Thanks for listening. And if you're not in a neighborhood organization, seriously think about starting one.